All right, there we go. So we are finally live because we had some technical issues with Millen, but we got it now. All right. So this is the Gridiron Gurus on this October 12th, 2023, and this is going to be a 30-minute show. So I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Scotty William. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Sean. How about you?
I'm doing great. So right now, it looks like the connection is really good so far. Because I remember last time it was kind of like an in and out, but it looks like the connection is great so far.
Yeah, we can always hold out hope.
Exactly. So we are into week 6, and now we're into week 5. There's a lot of great things happening in week 5. Of course, you had a showdown between Jacksonville and Buffalo. Of course, Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence was put on the show. And I gotta tell you, man, these Jacksonville Jaguars, when they beat the Buffalo Bills, because I was looking at the fantasy points, man, them people from Jacksonville, they were not even playing around against Buffalo, especially Travis. I can't see his Travis Travis Entity, if I say his name right.
Entienne, yes. Entienne.
Okay. His name sounds difficult to say.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he went 26 for 136 and 2 touchdowns. He averaged 5.2 on the ground. That is something that if you have him, you're definitely saying, yeah, he's kind of going where we thought when we drafted him maybe a couple of years ago if you're in a dynasty league. Trevor Lawrence, 315. He only had um, one touchdown thrown. Calvin Ridley went off for 7 for 122. No touchdowns. Christian Kirk and the passing game was definitely there for them this week.
Exactly. And then I also noticed with Pittsburgh and Baltimore, because everybody thought Pittsburgh was going to lose that game, but they came back and won that game. They won that game. And I was looking at the Baltimore Ravens offense, especially with the passing game. It seems like they weren't even clicking. And then of course, Pittsburgh so far this regular season, they want Matt Canada to be fired. So we don't know what's going to happen with the Steelers throughout the whole regular season.
Yeah, the Steelers have been. They're a team that you wouldn't think is 3-2. Honestly, you probably would think of them as, did they even win any games this year? It's been kind of a weird Steelers season. Kenny Pickett in that game, 224 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Warren actually was better on the ground than Najee Harris. George Pickens, another guy who, they don't really have a wide receiver that's a number one, and you're seeing different receivers do different things each and every week for the Steelers. George Pickens was had the grand total of 6 receptions for 130 and a touchdown.
Exactly. So right now they're tied with the Baltimore Ravens, 3-2. So right now the Steelers is first, Ravens is second, Browns and Bengals are third. Well, Browns is third, and then fourth is the Bengals. But I have a great feeling is with the Bengals is we've seen them before, like when they have a slow start, and then later on, like when November, December hits, they start clicking. Just like when Seattle was in their heyday, like they started slow, and then when October hits, they started coasting. So that's why I feel like with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, it was a nice game for Joe Burrow, especially if you have him as your quarterback, trying to snap out of the funk that he's been in. I think this is a wake-up call. I think the Bengals are going to be are finally clicking on all cylinders. And like I said before, Sean, you don't really see a lot of these teams clicking until like the 4th or 5th week of the season. And now that we've seen the Bengals, what they did to the Cardinals, who they beat the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago. They've been up and down. They don't have the talent that most NFL teams do. But in regards to that, I mean, I think you're going to see the Bengals start winning some football games each and every week.
Exactly, and don't be surprised they're going to get the compete for the AFC North. And then when I look at the Dolphins, Devon Akane and Tyreek Hill, they both gained for over 150 yards and scored a 65-plus yard touchdown against the New York Giants. I thought, this was something was going to happen like that.
Yeah, and the bad thing about this is Ekene's been put on the injured reserve, so his 11 carries for 151. He's going to be out probably for at least the next 4 weeks. So
Yikes.
if you have a Raheem Mostert, that would probably be your guy to go with. I know Jeffrey Wilson's supposed to be coming back. Um, Tyreek Hill went off again, 8 for 181 and a touchdown. Jalen Waddle, who I know some people have, he's kind of a home run or bust every week for you. He finally got involved, a 5 for 35 and a touchdown. That's pretty much what saved your day there. But yeah,
Right.
it looks like, the Dolphins, they keep pushing on, but they're going to have to do it without a Kane.
And then also you got Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb because they gained over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns as both of them battled out to be the top running back in fantasy points so far this season. For those that no one hasn't heard of that information.
Yeah, Chargers had a bye week last week, and Eckler is supposed to be back this week. That's a good thing because I know a lot of people have that had Eckler probably had Jonathan Taylor or Joshua Taylor as their no, I'm sorry, Joshua Kelly as their
Yeah.
backup, and he has not been able to do anything. So if you got Austin Eckler, he should be playing this week, and definitely put him in your lineup.
And then you also got to look at Cooper Kupp because if you had Cooper Kupp, you was very excited, and then if you had Nakua, you was kind of like, like his reps going to be like lowered because more like he's going to be a number 2, which he was. But at least he had a touchdown, so I will say that about Pakua. But Cooper Kupp is like, yep, he's back in the lineup, so you already know he's like the number 1 target for the Rams.
Yeah, 8 for 118. And the good thing about this is I don't think you're going to see a real drop off for Puka Nakua just because they don't really have any. They sent Van Jefferson just this week to Atlanta on a trade, so they really don't have anybody else. So Cooper and Puka and Tyler Higbee are going to be their receivers there. So if you got them, Puka and Cooper, I mean, you're in good shape.
And then I also was looking at the Vikings and the Chiefs. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. I was looking at the Jets and the Broncos because I was watching it on my laptop. And I gotta say, man, if you had Russell Wilson as your quarterback, especially that last play, you gotta feel sick to your stomach. And then also you lost to the Jets because remember last season, Daniel Hackett was the coach of the Denver Broncos. I know he was happy that he beat his former team because Sean Payton was talking a lot of trash during the offseason. So this could be another inspiration for the Jets because they are going to be facing the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, which is a late game.
Yeah, Zach Wilson was 19 for 26 and 199. He didn't throw a touchdown. Obviously, Breece Hall got it all done on the ground for 22 for 177. But, I'm still not 100% good with anybody on the Jets fantasy-wise other than maybe Breece Hall. And then for the Broncos, I mean, they're just in a disarray. I mean, Russell's looked decent the last couple of weeks, but, I mean, when Samaj Perrin is your top receiver and he's a running back, there's some issues there. I mean, you can't get Cortland Sutton going. He was just a couple of years ago before the injury, he was probably their best receiver. Jerry Jeudy's still struggling out of the gate. He's yet to take off in fantasy period since he's been in the league. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's a stepping stone for the Jets, but I just don't feel as if that really they're going to do anything. I mean, they're 2-3. They should have beat the Denver Broncos. To be honest with you, they're just a little bit better defensively.
And then you also got to look at the everybody watch was the Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, as I was watching that game, if you recall the fourth quarter, because the Vikings had no choice to go for on fourth down, but we got somebody. We got somebody. A question: Javante or Jaleel, full PPR.
Well, honestly, in looking at that, I don't know if Javante is going to be back this week. It's possible. Um, when you look at the stats on everything, Jaleel did catch 3 balls for 121 and a touchdown. Um, with it being in disarray like that, I mean, I would have if Jaleel's going to play. I mean, obviously he's doing it on the ground and in through the air also, especially in the PPR league. I would say Jaleel. I don't know if Javante will be back this week or not. Still no word. And if he does, I'd be surprised if he would be. He's probably going to be on a snap count, just like you've seen Jonathan Taylor this week. So I think the safe bet there is Jaleel.
All right. So if you have any more questions you want to ask, feel free because we like to ask questions and we'll give you the answers. And then, as I was saying, was like on the fourth quarter during that fourth down because Vikings had no chance but to go for a fourth down. And then there was a controversial play that may have been a pass interference, but in my opinion, I did not really see it, and I did not see the tip ball. I don't know about you, saw that, but I was like, I don't see no pass interference call on that.
No, I caught bits and pieces of that game, to be honest with you, because I was on another podcast at the time on Sunday. But I did not see that. I kind of figured it was kind of going to be a shootout between these two teams. And, I think Kansas City just, basically they have better of the manpower, but it didn't help. It didn't help. Justin Jefferson now is
He's
out
injured
for 4 weeks at least. And I think that's a hamstring, and that's not a good thing because hamstrings can really linger on more than 4 weeks.
Now he has another question. Michael Thomas, Amari Cooper, and Chris Godwin, full PPR in pick 2.
In pick 2, I'm going to go with Godwin because I don't know the situation with Evans if Evans will be back. And right now I don't know. Deshaun Watson is questionable.
That's
honestly,
the last time I heard.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then I would probably say Michael Thomas.
Gotcha. And then, of course, the Cowboys lost to the San Francisco 49ers, but I do know for a fact that George Kittle had a field day against that Cowboys defense. Not just any defense, but Dan Quinn's defense. That's like uneven heard of as far as I know since Dan Quinn became the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. But it looks like the 49ers is like one of the top 2 teams in the NFC, not only in the NFC, but also contention for the Super Bowl. So I looked at Brock Purdy's performance. I looked at that 49ers defense. If you had the 49ers defense, you should be happy. But if you had the Cowboys offense, especially with Dak Prescott, I was like, I don't feel Prescott was ready for that game and everybody else on that offense. So it's just another disappointment game for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree with you. Anybody in that Cowboys lineup is disappointing. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, I mean, they couldn't get him going at all. Pollard did not look good. But, hey, look, you're going against the San Francisco 49ers defense. But I really thought Dallas would have showed a little better than that. Dak Prescott is looking complete trash. I mean, he's almost not worth starting, to be honest with you. I mean, he hasn't been playing well. And when he does play well, he plays well against teams that are
bad team.
Great. Yeah.
Right. And then also you gotta look at the upcoming NFL draft QB and see if the Cowboys going to even look at for a QB. More like we'll probably be late in the NFL draft because there's supposed to be a couple of NFL quarterbacks that's supposed to be drafted in the first round, but I don't think it's going to be a lot like it was last season.
No, I don't either. And honestly, I feel as if, everybody's saying, oh, they need to do this, they need to do that, especially if you were talking about the Bears too, what are they going to do with Justin Fields? But I don't see any quarterbacks coming out of college, to be honest with you, that'll make a difference right off the bat. I just don't. I think Caleb Williams is okay out of USC, but I don't see him being a difference maker right off the bat. And you're seeing, a lot of these rookie quarterbacks being thrown into the mix. Bryce Young hasn't done well. Anthony Richardson has played well, but
But he's
he's
injured.
getting beat up every week, and now he's out again. So I'm assuming Gardner Minshew will probably take over that while he's gone. But nobody's. I mean, Stroud's had his struggles.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy. It really is.
right. Okay, so we got that out the way, and of course, you got the Packers lost to the Raiders. The Raiders barely won that game, so everybody thought Packers was going to have a slight chance. I'm like, the Raiders could probably slide out and get a W, which they did. Okay, so we have tonight's game. It is a AFC West rivalry game. That is the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, when I look at this game, I'm thinking to myself, the Broncos not only need to win this game, but this is like a determinant of like where they're going to go moving forward as Sean Payton as the head coach of the Denver Broncos. Because right now, as we've seen before, you don't know which Denver Bronco is going to step up outside of Russell Wilson, and you don't know how well that defense is going to be against this Kansas City Chiefs offense. Because Kansas City is not the same offense like it was since Eric Bieniemy left. So I feel like it won't be surprising if the game is close between these two. But this should be a good game. I don't want to say a great game, but this should be a good game. A good game.
Well, I think you're a little more optimistic than me. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't. I could see this being a high scoring game for some reason. You seen kind of like what the Lions did to them in Week 1 against Kansas City. So if you do like the person writing in earlier with Jaleel, yeah, I think you could. If he ends up starting, I think you'll see him getting a lot of catches out of the backfield. You've seen that with Gibbs, what Gibbs did with the Lions against the Chiefs. I'm not. I just don't like the Chiefs defense, and if the Broncos are going to pull this game out or do anything with the Chiefs in Kansas City, Judy's going to have to be doing some things for him. Cortland Sutton's going to have to be there for him, and if you don't have those two, then I could see maybe Kansas City pulling this game out and winning in big time, because I just don't know if Denver has the tools if they get down early. I just don't know if they have the tools to get back in the game.
Exactly. Because like I was saying about Denver, I don't know which player should I start for Denver, because more likely I stay away from them. But with Kansas City, you kind of figure like who's gonna do who outside of Patrick Mahomes, because you got Travis Kelce, Jared McKinnon, especially when he in the red zone, because McKinnon is very great at the red zone. I know it's about that ever since like the end of the last season, because he's been getting a lot of reps lately.
Yeah, I mean he's done fairly well. I think Pacheco has really been the guy that's kind of getting his feet underneath him. He didn't really look good the first few weeks of the season, and now he's playing pretty well. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at if you're obviously Mahomes is a starter every week, but when you look at guys like Pacheco, to me he's a guy that you start every week. But other than that, I mean, other than Travis Kelce, and you're going to have to be careful with Travis Kelce. He's kind of getting beat up a
Yeah.
little bit. I mean, he played well. If you had him last week, he got you 10 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown. When it comes to the receiving core of KC, they really don't have nobody's really stepped up other than Travis Kelce, which is kind of, Rashee Rice is, he's doing a little bit, but nobody's kind of like stepped up at all. I think a sneaky pick, maybe if he can get his reps in. I wouldn't be surprised if Kadarius Toney is a guy that he was 5 for 26 last week. I wouldn't be surprised in the next few weeks if they get him rolling and he kind of gets his feet underneath him that he could be their number one receiver.
Gotcha right there. So I was looking at the waivers while we was talking about it. Now there's a couple of waivers you can pick up for week 6. One is Matthew Stafford, by the way, as they were faced against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's one of them. And as a matter of fact, he has thrown for the fourth most passing yards this season and has the fourth most completions. And he's going against the Cardinals, which is like the best available because Arizona has allowed the fourth most fantasy points and the fourth most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks this season. That's not bad. And then also you got to look at Sam Howell of the Commanders because last Thursday, by the way, because he threw for almost 400 yards and then also that 19 yards on the ground. So he was the QB5 for week 5 heading into Monday Football. So he has finished as a QB 14 or better 4 times this season. So he's going to face a Atlanta, which is not the easiest. So you got McLaurin, Dotson, Curtis Samuel, as well as those two strong pass catching backs in Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. So you could see some people getting Sam Howell as a quarterback for waivers because when Wednesday hits, people will see who can they get, especially when it comes to QBs.
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for a QB, I mean, he was okay against the Bears. You know, I don't know what I mean. I don't know what you're going to get with Sam Howell, but if you're looking for a bye week replacement, he could be definitely a guy that you pick up.
And then there was another one I was looking at. I was looking at the wide receivers and the running backs. I was looking at Chuba Hubbard. I call him Chuba Hubbard. I don't know how you say his name. I think it's Chuba Hubbard. So I was looking at it, by the way. If I'm looking at Chuba Hubbard, he has a better runner this season because he's gained first down or a score of 37.1 of his carries compared to Sanders' 14.8. So he's going to go against a team. I'm looking right now. He has been better pass catching and he's played the majority of third down snaps, while Hubbard took majority of the short yardage situations. So it's possible that Hubbard soon can be the better back for fantasy purposes. So right now, 8% of people have him as a roster.
Yeah, I mean, you're going up against Miami this week. I mean, you're 0-5. I think the problem with that is Carolina's playing from behind, and they're not gonna run the ball much. If you're gonna get anything from a Carolina Panther running back, you better hope they can catch the ball because I think that's where you're going to get most of your yards, especially if you're in a PPR league.
And then you also got 2 wide receivers. One is Joshua Palmer for the Chargers and I'm looking at it because they did it without Mike Williams in week 4 because he led the team in targets for 3 grabs for 77 yards against the Raiders. So, and then you look at Josh Downs because he caught like 6 targets for 97 yards because he led the Colts offense. And he has twice as many targets and twice as many receiving yards as Alec Pierce this season. So he looks to be like the second wide receiver behind Michael Pittman Jr. And we've been saying this about Michael Pittman Jr. You never know what type of Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be. Like one, he'll be fantastic. Then the next week, he'll be like just a let you down type of wide receiver.
Yeah, and I think he's just the recipient of a quarterback issues there. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. I mean, Anthony Richardson, is kind of a Lamar Jackson kind of style. So I don't think you're going to get a whole ton of receiving yards from him, passing wise. But Michael Pittman Jr., if Gardner Minshew does start, you remember back in on September 24th, Indianapolis took on the Ravens and won 22-19. Gardner Minshew was the quarterback, and Michael Pittman had 9 receptions for 77 yards. So Minshew might be the guy, and so if you do have a Michael Pittman Jr., he might be the guy to grab this week, especially with Minshew as the quarterback.
Now, as we're saying, this is week 6. Is there a player that you like in week 6, and what player that you don't like?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I'm looking at the games correctly, I'm going to say
Mhm.
stay away from Desmond Ritter, because you never know what you're going to get. I mean, if you have him as a quarterback, I don't know if he would be a start against the Commanders, even though they are in Atlanta. He just seems to be very volatile. One week he plays good, the next week it's a disaster. Um, I would say stay away from him. Uh, if I'm looking here at other games, um,
Yeah.
you got the Bears and the Vikings. I don't know. I'm to stay away bear wise. I mean, you never know I mean, I know DJ Moore came up big last week.
Or Cole
Uh,
Kmet.
Cole Kmet did too, but that could be a shootout against the Vikings. I'm not 100%. I mean, and that's in Chicago. So DJ Moore, I don't know what you're going to get with him. Just looking here. Wow.
I know.
I just stay away.
It's kind of a weird week 6.
Well, I say stay away from Dak Prescott because I don't know what you're going to get with him against the Chargers. The Chargers have a good defense.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
uh,
But you don't know what the Chargers going to do on the fourth quarter, because they will let you down.
yeah, that is true. I would stay away from anybody on the Patriots. They have just look
Oh yeah.
horrible.
Especially possibly Bill Belichick may resign.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. This week, it almost, the 49ers are going to be playing the Browns in Cleveland. This could be, I love the 49ers. I think they put up great points. A lot of teams have a rough time when they check out of their time zone and have to go to the East Coast or the West Coast.
So,
That game
right.
right there is a 1 o'clock game. That might fare a little better for the 49ers. But anybody on the Browns, I would stay away from anybody on the Browns, especially with that 49ers defense.
Exactly. And then also, I know around, since we live in the Metro Detroit area, I know they're going to play the Seattle Seahawks and the Cincinnati Bengals, because a lot of people in the country is going to watch that game, because both teams. Well, Seattle's 3-1, and then Cincinnati's like 2-3.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game that the Bengals win, to be honest with you. I mean, I think they're kind of you seen what Burrow did last week? Him and Jamar are kind of getting back into the groove again. Yeah, the Seahawks, they got they got Metcalf and Lockett, but can Geno Smith keep going on? I mean, they're going to have to get Kenneth Walker III involved in that game pretty quickly. If you're going to establish a passing game against the Bengals, yeah, Geno Smith, I don't know. He might be a quarterback I'd stay away from.
And then also the Sunday Night Football game. I don't know why they put this on Sunday Night Football game. You got the New York Giants facing the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, it's bad. But you know what, though? The Bills have just been kind of crazy lately. 1 week. I mean, granted, fantasy-wise points, I mean, you're getting a lot from
Right.
Josh
But
Allen.
consistency in general, no.
Yeah, and consistency in general. And then here's the thing. If Saquon Barkley comes back, I mean, they could make the game
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah, but here's the thing. They don't know who they're throwing to week in and week out. There's just nobody there. Waller had a decent week last week, but it doesn't, you don't see that on an every week basis. And Daniel Jones playing in Buffalo, that game is going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
Exactly. So, like I said, we had some technical issues earlier, but hey, at least it's going fast like last week. Thank God. Right. All right. So we can do our player prop picks. And by the way, since we ain't gonna do it on Sunday, I mean not on Thursday because it's gonna be too late. But anyway, you can new Sports Battle customers can download the Sports Battle app on Google Play or on the Apple App Store by using code EOTSRE27 to get an instant match deposit up to $100. But you know what? We might as well do it by the way with the Thursday night football, and then we can do the Sundays. All right, so we're gonna do the Sunday games, and then we'll do the Thursdays, then we'll do the Sunday. We'll do that because I want to keep it separate. All right, so the first one, Patrick Mahomes, 36 and a half long pass yards.
Over.
Okay, over. You got that one. The next one, it is Young Hoo Koo, 1.5 field goal made.
I'm going to say over.
Okay. And then finally, wrong one. I'm looking at this like crazy. Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, 489 and a half passing total yards. Yeah, kind of interested.
Well, let's see. I think Russell's good for 2.
They both have the ability to do it.
Are you talking about combined yards together?
Yes, combined.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go over. I'll go over that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we got that for tonight's game. Now we're gonna do it for a couple of Sunday games. Don't cut it. Okay, here we go. So, Terry McLaurin, as they're going to be between Atlanta and Washington. Terry McLaurin, 21 and a half longest receiving yards.
I'm going to say under.
Okay. Wow, he's going to go under. All right. Now this is a game in London. Lamar Jackson, 273 and a half passing and rushing yards.
Combined?
Combined. Excuse me. I forgot to say that.
Oh, that's okay. You said how many? 270 yards?
273 and a half.
73 and a half. I'm going to say under.
Okay. Then you also got Logan Wilson, 4.5 solo tackles.
Logan Wilson. I'm going to say under.
Okay. And then finally, oh my goodness. Because I was looking at Bryce Young and Tua. For those of you who want to know, Bryce Young, 8.5 rush yards and Tua, 4.5. Raheem Mostert, 73 and a half rushing yards.
That's a good one. Let's see.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to say over.
Okay. Simply because Carolina can stop the Lions running game.
Yeah, and yeah, pretty much. I would say that. Yep.
Exactly, because they couldn't even stop the running game. Not only the Lions won that game, they also covered that because they were favored by 9 points, an easy 9. So we got that out. We got that out the way. Connection was smooth, so like we said, we apologize for the earlier connection because we sent the invite, but things happen.
Yeah, it can happen. Those things happen.
Exactly. So, and also go on sportsforamerica.com to check to see which game is going to be broadcast in your area. And also, I noticed while I was doing the map, Tony Romo and Jim Ness and Tony Romo is actually going to do the New England Patriots and the Raiders game because the Super Bowl is going to be in Las Vegas. So, which is not a bad idea, even though the game's not going to be that great.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right. Because I don't know when the last time CBS did a nationally televised game of the Raiders. I think it's been like, wow, that's been like years, I want to say. Because
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Right, because last time I saw it was a nationally televised game was last year when the Raiders was playing the Steelers last year.
That could be right.
Exactly, because that was when who passed away? Franco Harris.
Yeah.
Because that was last year. All right, so we will see you guys next week and enjoy your week. Thank you very much.